Snubs.
Who got snubbed?
The Weeknd, by the way, got snubbed on this entire list. And I know people have already talked about that. We're going to be late to the party talking about this. I know people are already outraged about it. He's talked about it. Like, how is Blinding Lights not here? I just tell me how Blinding Lights is not.
Which is so, and that's when it's so funny. It's like this dude who clearly had one of those hot. Like, that was hot too. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
he's unbelievable. Two, like, his album this year, in my opinion, was transcendent. I thought it was so freaking good, and for him to not even get even a nomination in any pop or R&B categories, come on,
it's very disrespectful. Super disrespectful.
So disrespectful. Elton John came out, was like, just so everyone's aware, Blinding Lights is the record of the year, and I was like, good, Elton. I agree. I'm with you. Totally I'm with Elton on that one. Thank you, Mr. Yes, please. Yeah. Thank you so much. Speaking of album of the year, which I don't know how The Weeknd's album is not on this list, but anyway, we got Chilumbo by Jhené Aiko, Black Pumas by Black Pumas, Everyday Life, Coldplay, DeJesse Volume 3. The D might be silent. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing that. My apologies. Jacob Collier, Women in Music Part 3 by Haim, Future Nostalgia, Dua Lipa, Hollywood's Bleeding, Post Malone, Folklore, Taylor Swift.
Could you remind us what the category was for this one?
This is Album of the Year.
Album of the
Year.
Wow.
Album of the Year is what we got
here.
That
Chilumbo one, I like Jhené Aiko, and I looked forward to that, but that was a disappointing project to me.
I didn't like it either. I was not a fan.
It was not her best work. It was very safe kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Especially when she had so many crazy singles leading up to it. I felt like that album kind of landed a little flat.
She's done so much more ambitious stuff than that. Put it that way.
Yeah, definitely, and including on the singles themselves, like just features she's giving to other artists too. She was going crazy, and then I remember going up to that album and being at the end of it like, this is it?
Yeah.
So that's...
I mean, dude,
wow.
like, After Hours by The Weeknd, like, I don't mean to spoil, like, my list, but, like, like, After Hours of The Weeknd, that's on my list, no question about it. Like, I'm sorry that is there, and it's probably towards the top, spoiler alert, but in my, like, going through these, like, I like Hollywood's Bleeding. That's a pretty good album. Is it, like, Album of the Year material? I doubt it. I actually probably preferred his first project better, Beer Bongs and Bentleys, the one he, not his first project, but the one he released prior to this. And I mean, I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan, but I will say, like, Folklore, when I did listen to it, because I am always curious when she drops a project, just for if I want to shit on it, or actually sometimes I used to like her back in the day. I'm not gonna lie, but. This album, the Folklore project that she did, I thought it was pretty good. I'm not even gonna front, dude. I mean, she had Jack Antonoff obviously did a ton of work on it, and he's a really big artist. He's helped a lot of people out. He's done like work, I think, with like Lana Del Rey is one, and Kevin Abstract. He really helped out his solo project. And I know she had like Bon Iver. They helped out a ton on this, like Justin Vernon. So I was really pleasantly surprised by the Taylor Swift album, but although I should say, I mean, it was a freaking breakup album. It's just everything she's always done. So it's like sonically, I thought she took a bit of a risk with this one, but topically, it wasn't really much of a risk for her.
Just so you know, I'm not super distracted. I'm looking at albums of 2020 because I don't have these all at the top of my head. Right. But I definitely know I wasn't listening to these other things, so I'm like reminding myself, like, what was I listening to from this year? The Mac Miller's Circles was released in 2020.
That's another one that I'm a little bit.
What's the season of this? It's actually, it goes by a certain season, right? It's not necessarily a year by year.
So thing. I believe I want to look it up quick actually, because I'm curious what the Grammys cutoff. Right. Like what, like, I think it's...
I know a lot of people were upset that Summer Walker Over It wasn't had any R&B nominations, but that was October 2019.
So okay, so I have it here. So it's between October 1st of 2019 and that goes until August 31st of 2020. So it's anything prior, basically September 1st onwards from this year. So September 1st, 2020 onwards will actually be for next year.
Gotcha.
For 2022.
So it's like October to October almost.
Pretty much. Yeah. October to September, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, October to September or October to November.
So that's where it's at. Again, by default, my favorite project here is probably Hollywood's Bleeding. But under no other circumstance would I put Hollywood's Bleeding as the album of the year. And then the Coldplay album. I mean, come on. Are we really still putting Coldplay up for albums of the year?
That blows my mind. I'm like, I didn't know they were even making things that were making noise.
There's a lot of snubs here. I think.
Yeah, I'm like trying to think about that right now. The
Weeknd is a clear snub.
Right off the top of my head, though, I loved the Benny the Butcher project. I know some people felt like it wasn't as.
There's an album that will never get. Benny the Butcher will never be up for album of the year.
Right.
Never.
Right.
Never.
And that's where it's like, it's just upsetting. But I love that project. And I'm coming from a hip hop head.
Why not Juice WRLD? Even that I probably would have been better off with. I thought Juice WRLD's album was pretty freaking good. I actually would have preferred it almost over every single one of these, probably even over Hollywood's Bleeding. And then I know he's just kind of up and coming, but throw him a bone like he did Billie Eilish. Dominic Fike, bro. Dominic Fike.
Dominic Fike had a good album.
Yes, he really did, man. He really did. And
yeah,
that was one where what it was called What Could Possibly Go Wrong. Well, the Grammys, that's what possibly could go wrong, Dominic, to answer your question on at least with context of this. But no, in all seriousness, there's a lot, the Weeknd, totally. I think that Dominic Fike, he was big enough this year, I felt like he could have at least got a nomination. Nope. Right. And then, what was the other one I said too? I can't remember now. What did I just say? Dominic, and then Juice WRLD. I think why not Juice WRLD? Right. And then and then this total snub, Run the Jewels, man. Run the Jewels 4. I mean, yeah. This is if this was the year to give Run the Jewels the Grammy for anything. Run the Jewels didn't get a freaking nomination.
They've kind of missed out because they could have, I think, easily gotten it. Were they nominated? I think they may have been nominated. They've never been nominated.
Never. I don't know the answer to that question. If they've never been nominated, I know that this year they didn't get nominated.
Okay, because I feel like they might have been nominated, but they didn't get it. But I'm
gonna look that up now because
Run the Jewels 3, Run the Jewels 2, at least 2. Those were really good projects, man. And all 4 of them. Let's be honest. But I can understand Run the Jewels 1 not getting it because the Grammys is late to that and they were kind of just bubbling up. But Run the Jewels actually has a massive audience, dude.
Yes.
They're very much they're not cult classic in the sense that only 45 people know them. They have a cult following that is very large.
It doesn't look like they've ever received a Grammy nomination.
Damn.